Hello, this is Greg Quick, and I'm glad you could join me today to talk about how are we going to coach Generation Z. Coaching Generation Z. Who is Generation Z? Generation Z is this dynamic, exciting group of young people that we're coaching right now. Those young people from 13 to 23 years of age, they're sophisticated, they're savvy when it comes to technology. They use their cell phones, they have gadgets, they're educated, they like things fast. The internet is not scary to them. That's where they reside. This Generation Z is a great group of young people. But we're going to have to learn to adapt. You know, we've talked many times as coaches, the ability to adapt during a football game increases our opportunities for success. Well, working with the young people and coaching the young people, our ability to adapt, and our ability to adapt now to Generation Z. This is the first group of young people whose cell phones have been a part of their life their entire existence. Every other generation, there was a period of time where cell phones didn't exist. That's not true for Generation Z. Generation Z has had a cell phone in their hand for their whole lives. You know, for many of us, when we hear that cell phone ring in our meeting room or in the locker room, we really get upset, don't we? Many of our rules, many of our playbooks, our code of behaviors all eliminate cell phones from our culture. Well, by eliminating cell phones, I think we're isolating, we're alienating one of the greatest group of people that we're ever had a chance to coach, and that's Generation Z. These young people, 98% of them own cell phones. Cell phones, again, have been a part of their existence from the day they were born. This is an addiction. So often us old-timers want to say they're addicted to their phones. Doggone it, they're addicted. It's a distraction. It's not. It's an extension of themselves. From the day they were born, cell phones have been there. The day they were born, there were people taking selfies and taking pictures and transmitting those pictures out to loved ones from the day they were born. They saw themselves on that cell phone. They learned to swipe the page to find the tractor on the farm. They learned to swipe the page to find the movie. They learned to swipe the page to do their homework. This Generation Z is connected. They are savvy. They know how to use the technology. They're not intimidated by it. To them, it's an extension of themselves. It's a tool. You know, I think back 40 years ago when I first started coaching, if you'd have told me that every person, 98% of the people were going to have a tool in their hand. They're going to walk in the first day carrying a tool that's going to allow me to transmit information to them. It's going to allow them to view video. It's going to allow them to get their playbook 365 days a year, 24/7. I would have been so excited. We were still punching punch cards. We were still using reel film. We hadn't even got the cassette tapes yet. So to think of every one of those young people in a room having a device where I could instantaneously send them the playbook, the scripts, the game plan, and the associated videos, I would have been excited. So this isn't an addiction we're dealing with. This is a blessing. 58% of the internet searches in 2018 were done on cell phones. It's the first time that over 50% of the searches have been done not on a computer. 58%. So they're using this phone to find information. Why don't we use the phone to provide the information that they need? 71% of Generation Z watch more than 3 hours of video daily. Wouldn't you be excited if your guys were watching an hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours a day of extended video beyond the practice, beyond your meetings? They're watching video. Why don't we give them the option of helping them get better as an athlete or as a student by the use of video? So we got to make sure that we're using platforms that create the opportunity for these young people to use this great tool. I don't know who did the research, and I'm not sure that I would like to do this research, but there's empirical data to prove that the attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. That's right. Those goldfish right there have an attention span of 9 seconds. These two young men, Frazier Sobek and Devin White, are both playing professional football today. But a year ago, Frazier was the number 1 linebacker, the number 1 defensive player in Canada, and Devin White was the Butkus Award winner, the number 1 linebacker in the United States. In North America, these are arguably 2 of the best linebackers. Both are playing professional football today. But you know what? Generation Z, both of these are 22-year-old men. Generation Z, attention span is 8 seconds. Now let's think about that for a second. That goldfish in that bowl was 9 seconds. And these 2 dynamic professional football players, highly educated, 8 seconds. Now we have to understand that those 8 seconds is their attention span, but we can use that in bursts. It's like a machine gun. Rather than one long blast, it's going to be like a machine gun. And you know how devastating machine gun is, round after round after round after round. Its impact, it can be devastating. It can have a strong impact. The same is true how we teach. If we teach in strong 8-second bursts, it can have a strong impact on the young people we're coaching. We don't have to blast in big chunks of time. No, we have to be like a machine gun, and we have to prime that machine gun to shoot in bursts of 8 seconds so that we connect with these dynamic young people we're coaching. Some of the finest athletes that have ever played the game. They're intelligent, they're savvy, they like things fast. So we have to reciprocate and we have to adjust. It's very important. We know that for us to be successful in a football game, that we as coaches and our players have to adjust. The same is true in how we teach. We can't teach the same way we did 40, 30, 20, 10, or even 2 years ago. Remember, this is the first time that over 50% of the internet search has happened on a cell phone. This Generation Z is a dynamic group, but we have to get to them in bursts of information. You know that cell phone right there, it's not real big. 9 inches maybe, at the most. It's got 720 pixels, 1080 pixels. But you know what? It's all about micro learning. It's not about macro learning. It's not about the big picture. It's about the simplification. We've always said, I can remember years ago sitting in a football class, and Lee Tressel, now in the College Football Hall of Fame, told us that the key to coaching was taking the complex and making it simple. And that's really true today. We have to teach in micro bursts. Remember those 8-second bursts. Remember that machine gun. Lee Tressel got it. 40 years ago, he understood that you had to take the complex and make it simple. He was a man ahead of his time. He knew that information had to be simplified. Even then, he would be in the Hall of Fame whether he was coaching 40 years ago or coaching today, because he got it. And he would be one of the first ones that would be using a cell phone. He's one of the first ones that would have a machine gun of information shooting 8-second bursts at his players to make sure that the platform matched the dynamics and the abilities so that he would continue to have the success that was important in the development of these young people. So we as likewise need to use micro learning as we go on. We got to make sure that the platforms we use, whether it be verbal, it be written, or it be video, that all those platforms are accessible on a cell phone. If we do that, then they have a tool in their hand that they can access 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're going to be the most informed generation of football players ever. The best prepared generation of football players ever. Generation Z is going to be able to perform on the field like no generation before them. They are going to be very dynamic and special part of the past and now the future of this great game. So we have to learn to adapt. I really appreciate talking to you today, and I hope you feel and understand the need for us to adapt. Many of us already have, but we're going to have to continue to find platforms and access to the tools that the young men that we're coaching use. We have to adapt. We have to think about micro-learning. We have to take the complex and make it simple. So important. I look forward to the opportunity to visit with you. If you ever like to contact me, shoot me an email at pigskinpower1@gmail.com. Our Instagram is at pigskinpower, and we're always available. We'll be posting more videos on YouTube at Pigskin Power. Hope you have a great day, and thanks again for joining us here talking about how to coach Generation Z.